being a people's court is not to say that we fulfill the role of the opposition in parliament. I think live streaming of our court proceedings has been a game changer, despite the flip sides. And all of you would have seen some of the flip sides in the last few days. There are lawyers who speak to the gallery, judges who may not exactly be alive to the fact that what you are speaking in court is now not within the confines of this particular courtroom of 25 or 30 or 50 lawyers, but it goes to 20 million people almost at the flick of a button. So we have to, in that sense, train our own consciences and our own etiquette into understanding how we address the bar and how the bar should be addressing the court. So we do have some grandstanding by lawyers, but by and large, I always feel, and that's been my mantra, that we must always live on a sense of hope, not on a never live on a sense of cynicism. You'll always have people who will try to misuse the system, but I mean, institutions cannot be founded on the assumption that somebody will misuse the system, but on the good faith that everybody will be in it together for the betterment of the community. And I do believe that live streaming is something which has taken the work of the Supreme Court of India to the homes and the hearts of people. It's enabled society to have a wider critique on the functioning of our court. Too very often, a perception gains ground that the Supreme Court does cases only involving the rich and the resourced clients. And it's very easy to make that allegation against the Supreme Court because who knows? Who has the ability to come and cross-check what you are doing? Citizens are outside the system. But live streaming has changed all that because citizens now know that the smallest problems of citizens, whether it's a small bail application of someone who's seriously suffering from an ailment and is in custody for 2 years under the PMLA or under the NDPS, or somebody's pension, somebody's service retiral dues, that all these ordinary problems of simple human beings get the most serious attention of the Supreme Court. The role of the Supreme Court is not just as a final arbiter of constitutional disputes and doctrine, but also as a socially transformative instrument. Because when we stand firm on some issues, that provides a guidance to the district courts, to the high courts, that if the Supreme Court has given us this cue, surely we have to now follow in that path. Ours is a court which is a people's court. And I think the role of the Supreme Court as a people's court must, of course, be preserved for the future. Now, being a people's court is not to say that we fulfill the role of the opposition in Parliament. I think there is, particularly in today's times, there is this great divide between everybody who thinks that the Supreme Court is a wonderful institution when you decide in their favor. It is an institution which must be denigrated when you decide against them. I think that's a dangerous proposition because you cannot look at the role of the Supreme Court, the work of the Supreme Court from the perspective of the outcomes. Outcomes of individual cases may be in your favor. Outcomes of individual cases may be against you. And judges are entitled to decide with a sense of independence on a case-by-case basis which side of the balance the dice must be cast. Now, you are entitled to criticize courts for the ultimate outcome, for inconsistency of legal doctrine or an error apparent or whatever. And I'm sure judges have no difficulty about it. But the problem lies when the very same people who see that the court is, say, going towards a particular direction are all willing to criticize it merely because an outcome has gone against you. I think we as a legal profession must have a sense of robust common sense to understand that judges are entitled and must decide on a case-by-case basis depending on how they assess legal doctrine has to be applied to the facts in that particular situation. So long as we accept that, I think the future of the institution is safeguarded.